Your favorite Haitian siblings are about to talk about the faith, TV shows, and experiences that made them who they are today. We're your hosts, Lovingkindness, pronouns they, them, she, her, and Perpetua, pronouns she, her. Let's dive into TV trauma and truth.
And we are here.
Nice.
What's good and what's not good? That's the vibe check for today.
What's good is that the sun is setting after 7, and that means a lot to me after the winter we've had. But what's not good is that it's not consistently warm yet, and I think that when the sun is setting at 7, we shouldn't be dealing with chilly temps anymore. That's my personal weather take.
I respect that. You always want some warm weather to come with the sun. What are we doing?
Yeah. My body expects it, whether it expects it reasonably or not, it just does. And so, there's they're going to be like a really kind of out like a lion, windy day in March that completely blows away any remaining shred of tolerance I had for the winter season. I'm like, get out of here. Get out. That happened like sometime last week. Now I'm really, I catch up for anybody who was keeping up with how my Lenten journey through giving up complaining was going. I gave up. What I did do was try to counteract my complaining with some with ongoing gratitude. But yeah, I learned quickly that complaining is not something like the kind of complaining that I was giving up, like the mindless stream of complaints about small annoyances, inconveniences, and general grievances. That is a very hard stream to interrupt, or at least to stop the flow of, but I can interrupt it by being grateful. And I recognize that as a weakness for myself right now and am praying for the strength to, I guess, or for the ability to not experience such irritation. That being said, we're all prone to a little more irritation, disappointment, frustration these days. There's a lot happening in our world and in our lives that can aggravate our nervous system and cause us to sit tight on the negativity bias. So I'm cutting myself some slack, but also trying to take it as an opportunity to just keep being grateful for what I do have. But yeah, every 5 seconds, it was a complaint to the point where Matt would be like, I thought you were giving this. I thought you were giving this up.
Thought you would change.
And I was like, yeah, me too.
I think it's totally reasonable and I think encouraged to have a shift to gratitude when you experience these feelings and thoughts rather than try and squelch them or beat them out of existence. It's like, how can I do a gentle pivot that still honors my reality? So I'm proud of you for reaching that point. I think that's
Thanks.
a healthy, good place to land.
I appreciate that.
You did that. Mm-hmm.
All right. What's good and what's not good on your end?
What's good? What's good is that some things are done. Some projects I've been working on are done. And things I was producing and events and stuff, it's done. I'm so happy. And we are currently in the Monday of Holy Week. So Lent's almost done. And I'm happy about that too. I'm just happy for things to be done and for us to be in a new season. April starts this week. And yeah, I'm just very ready to kind of move on from the first quarter of the year and all of the
I always am
projects that came with it, whether it's an actual project, Lent's not a project, but it involves, work and it's a season in that way. And yeah, I just I'm ready. I'm okay, that is cute. That's done now. We did that. That was nice. Let's move on. So that's good. What's not good? Still got a week left in this stuff. Now, what's not good is my feelings around the second season of Paradise. So let's get into it.
Yeah. Why not?
Let's get into it because I watched a ton of TV last night. We're not doing, the last thing we watched, but I did watch a ton of TV last night, and Paradise was the only thing that kind of disappointed me. Invincible, strong. Grey's Anatomy, always holding it down. But Paradise, oh man, still a good show. Still, that's the thing, actually. I couldn't tell you that. What I can tell you is I am still trusting the show despite it giving me several reasons not to this year. I'm holding on. I feel like we took a lot of detours this season that an 8 episode season does not have the time to take. Emotionally, things were presented this season that they chose not to close the loop on within this season. And that is not inherently a bad thing, but it feels weird, especially in a show that we know is ending next season, with its third season. So that's what's not good. Before we get too deep into it, let me drop some background on Paradise. Paradise, it aired January 26th, 2025 on Hulu. The second season premiered February 23rd, 2026. The show has been renewed for a third and final season. It was created by Dan Fogelman and is executive produced by Dan and Sterling K. Brown. Music is by Siddhartha Khosla, like all Dan Fogelman projects are and should be. And it stars Sterling K. Brown as Secret Service lead Xavier Collins, Julianne Nicholson as Samantha Sinatra Redmond, a billionaire, Sarah Shahi as Gabriella Tarabi, a psychotherapist and grief specialist, Nicole Bryden Bloom as Agent Jane Driscoll, Aaliyah Maston as Presley Collins, Xavier's daughter, Percy Daggs IV as James Collins, Xavier's son, James Marsden as President Cal Bradford, Chris Marshall as Agent Nicole Robinson, Inuka Okuma as Terry Rogers Collins, Xavier's wife, Charlie Evans as Jeremy Bradford, John Beavers as Billy Pace, Shailene Woodley as Annie Clay, and Thomas Doherty as Link, the ever mysterious Link.
We know Sterling K. Brown from many projects, most notably ones like This Is Us, another Dan Fogelman helmed project, from Army Wives, which aired in the early aughts, from film projects as well, like American Fiction, Marvel's Black Panther, Honk for Jesus, and many others. And he's also going to be starring as the big bad in an upcoming film, Is God Is, coming out this May. So if you don't know about Sterling K. Brown, get it together because he's amazing. And his star turn on this show is nothing short of incredible. We know James Marsden from like so many things, but we're big X-Men fans in the house.
Yes, we've
We
got
know James
Cyclops in the
Marsden
house.
from X-Men as Cyclops. In our house, Enchanted won an Oscar. So we know him as the charming prince in Enchanted, as Corny Collins. Wow, he also had the last name Collins. In
That's true.
Hairspray, he has such a buttery voice. I love to hear this man sing. And just this morning, when I was pulling up Paradise to watch the last episode of the season, I saw a trailer for Mike, Nick, and Alice, a comedy gangster film that he's starring in. So he stars in that too. And I'm probably
Yeah.
going to watch that like later this week, or no, not this week. Holy Week is too serious for a film like that. Next week during Easter.
He stays working. We love him in Dead to Me with Christina Applegate and Linda Cardellini, Sonic the Hedgehog, star turn in Sonic the Hedgehog. No one knew what it was gonna
Yeah, it's
be.
amazing. Well, we the things like it's like when we say where do we know these people from, I feel like sometimes it's hard to draw the line between like the royal we and like just the you and me. So it's funny the things that like some of us will recognize actors from, and if we leave something off the list, it's not because they weren't in it, but because that's not where we previously knew them from prior to watching the show. But one surprise entry for the show, I had not seen many other of the actors and other things, but the actress who plays Jane, Nicole Bryden Bloom, had a recurring role in the second season of The Gilded Age, and then also returned to kind of
I knew it was
complete
gonna be
her
the Gilded
storyline
Age.
in the following season. So it was cool to see her, and she plays a similarly mysterious character.
Oh, she
So
plays a murderer in the Gilded Age? Is
no,
an axe
just
murderer?
mysterious is where I'm gonna leave it, 'cause
Okay.
I'm if you do intend to watch The Gilded Age, Loving doesn't watch The Gilded Age, you guys, then you'll want this plot point to be spoiler free, unspoiled for you. But it was cool to see her in a different
Is
show,
she
and
Lady
obviously
Whistledown?
I'm ignoring that. Obviously, Jane's character goes in places that we could not have imagined or expected when we first met her. She really knows how to play that damsel in distress card really well. But as we also learn in season 2, she overplays the hand. Mm. Even somebody as careful and calculated as Jane can make a misstep. All right. So, let's talk about it. Let's talk about this show. What I think we should react to the whole season, even though what's burning in our throats is a response to the finale episode, which dropped today, the day that we are recording this episode. We want to give the whole season a chance to get some airtime and response from us. You want to go first?
I wanna talk about the whole show
Well, yeah,
because
we're gonna cover information from both
mhm,
seasons. Obviously, anybody who's never seen Paradise, if you don't mind being spoiled, go ahead, listen. But you are gonna hear about both seasons and not just the second one.
yeah, I think it's important context because the first season was incredibly tight and, spoiler alert, they're in an underground bunker. You learn that at the end of the pilot, and the show starts off with, like, political thriller vibes because the president has been murdered. You don't know who did it, we don't know why they did it. It's the first murder down here in the bunker, and it's very interesting that after all of that, Dan Fogelman is like, "This show is about family." And I'm like, "Is it?" I think that's part of the I've I've long struggled to, I feel like they're on a different page about what the show is about than, like, what the show is that they're making turns out to be.
Mhm.
But in that first season, Xavier really is breaking down the machine, right? It's it's very Die Hard, it's very man versus the machine as opposed to man versus machine as a trope. Him against the government, which he's also deeply entrenched in as he is the lead agent on the president's secret service. So, watching all that unfold and the mysteries start to take shape in the first season, it's all done in a way that has so much, like, promise and doesn't it leaves you asking questions in a very, I would say, manageable way. The pacing of when things are revealed feels natural. We learn, like, what the event was that happened to bring everyone down to the bunker in episode 7 out of 8 in the first season, and it's not done in a way that feels like it's dragging us along. There's a lot of development and intrigue happening along the way. So, yes, we are asking ourselves what happened on that day the whole time, but we are not stuck on that question. We are still going through the movements of other arcs and beats. And now I want to put that in direct juxtaposition with the A.L.E.X storyline of season 2, where we are repeatedly being reminded that there is a character named A.L.E.X that we know nothing about, and they are consistently bringing it up episode after episode from episode 1. Reminder also that Dylan is there to kill A.L.E.X, so just throwing that out there. We'll circle back. His stated goal in episode 1 is to kill A.L.E.X. We do learn that A.L.E.X is a supercomputer. A.L.E.X, A.L.E.X. I don't know why I was a Dalek in that moment, but A.L.E.X is a supercomputer buried in a second bunker 100 miles away from the first bunker. In case you forgot that Sinatra is a billionaire, right? Because Sinatra is the one who orchestrated all of the bunker that we know and love, Paradise, where everyone, 25,000 of the world's population that survived the event lives. And then, yeah, surprise, surprise, she constructed a second bunker to house a supercomputer and like an office to monitor said supercomputer. So A.L.E.X is brought up kind of ad nauseum between episodes 4 and 7, and once in episode 1. And I do not recall episode 2, but probably not. But also brought up in episode 3, which is the first episode of season 2 when we go back to Paradise. Because episode 1 and 2, we are outside of the bunker. These episodes, I feel, were done really well. There was a clear vision for the storytelling there. They did drop all 3 episodes at once, which upon retrospect, I feel like knowing how the rest of the season paces out, I'm like, you were probably better off doing 2 episodes maximum of a drop, because I don't even know if that would have helped, but I know the pacing felt wrong with how they did drop it, and so that's one thing that they maybe could have done differently. See how that went. But we learn who A.L.E.X is at the beginning of the finale, like within 5 minutes, and it was giving nobody cares. I don't know. To me, I was like, oh, like great. But we had discussed in our chat that like A.L.E.X was probably an AI or supercomputer, and I think the question is, what does that mean still? What are the ramifications of that? I want to let you jump in before I go into my diatribe about what Sinatra could have possibly thought A.L.E.X was going to do to help stop catastrophe from happening. But I'll just set that up by saying Sinatra commissioned A.L.E.X. We know that A.L.E.X is a part of Sinatra's plan to stop bad things from even happening. And by bad things, I mean the natural catastrophes that led to the 25,000 going into the bunker. So we know that from even before we know it's a supercomputer, we know that A.L.E.X is a part of Redmond's contingency plan.
Well, I love the first 3 seasons. I mean, it's not seasons. I love the first 3 episodes, maybe even the 4th. The first half of this season really had me. That's what I'll say. I was hooked. Each episode of the first 3 were from a different perspective of like post-apocalyptic life. And I thought those were really beautiful portraits with which to set the scene and set the stage for the season. But then we just like kind of kept doing that for the rest of the season. And that's what got me. Too many people on side quests and side missions that then took too long to coalesce. There's obviously like a great beauty when done really well of the like seemingly disparate entities that come together, their stories collide, and it makes for like kind of a super story at the end. when you combine pacing and plot like that, it can make for something really exciting and beautiful. And it was done clunkily for me, which is disappointing because of how much like heart emerged, like deeply exploring the impacts of the apocalypse on people. Even the third episode where we were just recouping from the events of last season in the bunker. That is still a time after like a year of scrambling to like find out who murdered the president and how this could have happened and what secrets lie beneath the bunker as a concept. There's all this like grief and reckoning with the secrets that had been held and the stories that need to be told now. It seemed to me like we were going to like all of that was going to propel us forward in a steady way towards like a back and forth of questions and answers that set us up really well for third and final season. But unfortunately, then we just like met more people. We met more people and we spent more time with them and we slowed down even more and we said the word Alex so many times. And yeah, like Loving said, the group chat had already figured it out. Like we knew that Alex was an acronym and that Alex was a scientific machine. And at first I was like excited by the veer and the turn into sci-fi, but the noses can only bleed so many times before I'm like, get it together, plug up the nose, stick some cotton up there and just move on. I'm starting to lose the thread of like empathy or curiosity or excitement, but any of those visual markers of like what's going on could have. That being said, how they get me is that the characters that they have presented to us, many of them, I have established a strong relationship with, and I care very much about what happens to them. And so I've gone through this experience before with other shows in my life where any sane person would have gotten off the bus several seasons prior, but I stuck around and would watch those characters crawl through the mud, dive into a dumpster because I just want to see what the character has done with it. When you have a really strong character, you get to know them really well and their like sense of self as a character is like very clear and jumps off the screen. I feel like I'm willing to see them get into a lot of scenarios that I I wouldn't enjoy otherwise, just because they are such good characters. And they've done that. They've done that with a lot of these people. Like I could not see a character for a little while and be really excited to see them come back. I think though that like they might be juggling a little too much or maybe the point, but it hasn't really been clearly identified or clearly communicated to the viewers that the point is for everybody to kind of take turns, like who's in the spotlight. I don't know. But I just wish it didn't feel so clunky because the new characters who like, are on the poster for the second season, for example, they brought so much to the party. And the actors themselves brought so much to the party. I want to take a few moments here to give Shailene Woodley all of her flowers. Shailene Woodley is somebody who I've known since she starred as Felicity Merriman
Mhm.
in an adaptation of the American Girl books of the character from the American Revolution. So I've known Shailene Woodley for a long time. I'm also pretty sure we're the same age. And obviously from The Secret Life of the American Teenager, the Divergent film series, and many other things. And she is a dynamite actress. I have never felt compelled to rewatch an episode of Paradise, but I rewatched her episode because Oh, she made Annie as a character feel so lived in. I feel like by the end of the episode, because Dan did that thing that he does so well, where he offers you these really like quick but significant snapshots of a character's life from like childhood, middle of life, and then recently. I really feel like I knew her. And then to walk with her during this really amazing, terrifying milestone in human history and see how she responds to it. I loved it so much. Her scene with Thomas Doherty as Link when they are just experiencing physical intimacy for the first time was so raw, so emotional. I was literally in tears watching it. It was transcendent, really transcendent. Like that episode is going in my back pocket as like one of the ones I pull out when I like need to feel something because it is just so good. So that's a hard thing for me to like have gone from this high of highs. I think with a premiere like that. And like personally, I don't agree with the choice to kill Annie off as a character. She died giving birth to a child that she conceived when she and Link had their physically intimate moment. And I I don't support it. I don't support it, and I think she would have been an incredible asset to the story, to the plot, and to the plan to storm and invade the bunker that went down in the final episode of the season. And in
Justice
losing that,
for Baleen.
yes, really huge justice for Shailene. And maybe, she just didn't want to do all of it. I don't know, but I wanted more for Annie as a character, and I wanted to see Shailene more on my screen. And as a result of losing like such a force of acting, because she just was able to keep up with Sterling too once she was sparring with him. I just feel like we didn't have anywhere to go. Like Sterling was just like running around. I'm not saying that, he didn't have the proper chemistry with his wife. He did. But they're like, they're just running looking for their children and other people's children at this point. They have these really beautiful, like small, significant emotional beats that reinforce the meeting that they show in the flashbacks in the second episode. But overall, you know, there was a pacing, there was a solid, steady, fast, but never rushed pace to the first season that was, I think, like an essential ingredient in a thriller that got lost when we brought in sci-fi. And I don't think that that is an inevitability because I found myself comparing the second season in the first place to I think it's the fifth season of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Anyway, several seasons of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. They got weird and weirder as the seasons go on. And
In the best
while
way.
that show also had its problems, it never suffered for bringing sci-fi into the show. There were other reasons why they might have had some clunky moments. And once there were time loops involved, like the mystery got more interesting and they didn't waste any time. And they had more seasons. I mean, they had more episodes in a season to work with. I agree with you loving that Paradise season 2 did not have any time to waste. And once we were exclaiming that Xavier and Terry were reunited at the end of episode 5, but that it was the end of episode 5, I felt like this pit in my stomach. I'm excited that they're reunited, but like, ah, what do you mean that's the end of the episode and that we only have 3 more? Like, they now have to go to Colorado and they now have to reunite the baby with its father. What's going on in the bunker? Who's Alex?
There's just so many things.
It was all
So
too much for me.
I don't think it's the introduction of sci-fi itself as an element that threw the show for a loop. It did throw me when we started implying time travel was going to be part of the show, I did have to do a full brain recalibration that I might still be in the middle of. But even that, I don't think is where we literally lost the plot. I think that, like you said, first season had a steady stream of like question, question, answer, question, question, answer. Like the pacing of that was steady, consistent, and like rewarding for an audience. Whereas season two, it didn't have the unifying thread, right, of like solving this mystery, which season one had. There was a mystery element to what was to be solved, and for us, it was for season two. That mystery is who is Alex, which is not even a mystery that everyone is on. Like only like it's the audience and Tarabi who are in on that mystery. And I have to tell you, Tarabi is not the most compelling investigator. Uh,
No, it was tough because
you know,
she has a heart full of justice. It's true, but I don't think that she was the best sleuth.
right? And I
She
think she
got herself on a kill list quickly, like with very little time. That's how unsophisticated her sleuthing was.
literally she just goes and tells the murderer like, "I'm gonna kill the one you're protecting." Jane's like, "Bet I'm gonna kill you." Tarabi's like, and then she's like having paranoid dreams, and it's like, "Well, you did this to
Like,
yourself,
she didn't
lady." Like,
invite that. I was like,
right?
"Hey."
Why didn't you like? You and what army did you go up to tell Jane that you were onto her? Like, you have no one. You have
Right.
no skills. Like your skills, no skills of this realm. Your skills are that you are a fantastic therapist with some boundary issues, also as a therapist. But yeah, so she's just not the most compelling. She's alone. Even Xavier in season one, he's compelling on his own, but he wasn't on his own. He had Billy. Billy got murdered. He had He suspected Robinson and then had Robinson right on his team. He has these people he's working in tandem with. Tarabi is literally on her own. She's introduced to the mystery in episode 3, makes herself a target by episode 4 or 5. Like she's not even like she doesn't have time to go on the journey. Like we start episode 1 of season 1 with the the investigative character in question, Xavier, launching onto the mission. So he is doing this for 7, 8 episodes, trying to figure out who did this and also bring down the establishment along the way. So it's just way tighter because that is the driving force of the season. In season 2, there's I don't even know if I want to say there's 2 separate driving forces because obviously we have Xavier trying to find his wife. That's his driving force, and that drives his part of the top side plot. Downstairs, you tell me what the plot was for Paradise, for the dome. You know what I mean? Like
Mhm.
we have a lot of different things happening. We have disparate
Side
like
quests, like I said.
events.
Yeah.
Yeah. Side quest after side quest. Jeremy being like Jeremy's thing is like, I want to open the doors.
Which,
Jeremy.
like, as a thread from last season, it was something that was kind of like part of the climax of the seams of the bunker beginning to show, but independent of that, like, thrust of plot, it's just like a silly boys plan, you know? It's not that
Yeah.
they could have done something. They could have done something a little more interesting where they had like a band of people down there who had like planned to get arrested, like, but it was just this like lone kid's plan. And they're telling a story about how he's like, some kid who is shouldering his dad's mission and thinks he has to do it all on his own, but it just gets lost. That's the problem. There are so many of these stories that get lost and they choose the wrong people, like we're talking about with Torabi, to bring certain parts of the story forward. do you think would have been a better person to be pursuing the Alex Sinatra connection in the bunker, if not Robbie? It has to be somebody who's in the bunker, and they don't have
Robinson.
to be arrested. Yeah. It's like Robinson.
The answer is Robinson, but Robinson gets jailed. Robinson gets smacked
Yes,
in jail.
Robinson. I know, it's
They
like they
take
painted
Robinson
themselves
out.
into a corner.
Yeah, like, and Jane is part of that paintbrush because she's the one who's coming after all these people. It's just like it's not cute. I feel like we could have gotten rid of
Jane is
Jane
kind of a
another
get out
way.
of jail free card. She was used weirdly this season.
Yeah, and I did not like her episode ultimately. Like, I didn't like that it left me with more questions than answers. I felt like, yeah, in that way, it felt like a waste of space because I'm like, okay, so you have created an episode out of 8 that has told me a little bit more about not even why Jane's crazy, but like you just showed me more examples of Jane being crazy and left me with like nothing. So I'm like, okay, thanks. Like, if you have an episode called Jane, you need to lay it out all on the table for me, not just be like, here's something that happened when she was a baby that doesn't tell us even why she is the way she is. It literally just it just creates more questions. Like I said in the chat, you know, clearly Alex, the computer, is sending messages to the person who went to like kill baby Jane, or at least warn
Warren. I
her
don't think that his
mother.
job was kill.
I forget now what that message said, the computer, but it was like, if you take her out, it was like, the baby is born this day, take her out. Did it not say something like that? It was a warning to like, it was like, you can still stop her. You can stop this. Like,
Yeah.
how are you planning to stop it? How are you planning to stop it? So,
Unclear. Yeah. But you
yeah.
see, I wouldn't have minded like that kind of message. 'Cause when I saw that come through, I was like, oh, okay, like we're gonna get some Alex answers in this episode. But all we did was get another like dangling clue. And without like that dangling clue might have meant more to me if we had already known other things about Alex. If we had some more information to go off of about what Alex was and what Alex does and what Alex is capable of, then that scene would have had my heart in my throat, actually. So I would have been like, oh, this computer knows stuff. It can make predictions about things that have not even been spoken into the air yet. And so if it already knows about Jane, like, what is Jane going to do? I understand to a degree, like, they kind of outline what her upbringing is like and why she develops kind of the sociopathic behavior. Or, right, she was like born a psychopath.
She was born,
Um,
she was born that way
she was
because her
born
mother was awful, but
a psychopath.
yeah, with was it she was born psychopath with sociopathic tendencies. I believe that's what Nicole said in the companion podcast.
Yes, yeah, I've been using that kind of as a North Star as I just think about those pathologies since listening to her interview with Ryan Michelle Bethay on the podcast, the Paradise podcast. So she just like she is that way. And so the episode for me it gives answers about that. It's like, how did Jane Jane was born that way and then honed those honed those tendencies into a like in a military and assassin space with the help of some meditation. So that's Jane, but w- so I know what Jane is capable of and I know why she's capable of it. But she's that warning from presumably Alex is suggesting that she's capable of worse or that whatever she's done worse is yet to come. And I don't know, without knowing until now that like why that's significant that Alex had sent that or that Alex could send that message and never finding out like during the episode, it just was like something I already forgot about. Like I forgot that that message had even been sent to the what was he? It's like a Circuit City
Literally the Circuit
like
City
repair
employee.
guy,
Yeah.
and yeah, I forgot that whole opening scene.
I agree that, like, that would have like, I think what you're naming is that they brought in a question, but the episode had no answers. Like,
Mhm.
because we know nothing about Alex. I'm not saying that they had to reveal to us. It could have had a cool and different impact if we already knew that Alex was capable of sending messages like that by the time that we saw that message being sent or by the end of that episode. But if it had revealed something else to us about Alex or Jane, I feel like that also could have left us with a more satisfied feeling. But it literally was just like a little character study episode of things that we already knew. So, as Cardi B would say, what was the reason? I I don't know.
Yeah. And so that for me suggests that there's a very tall order of payoff that is set up for season 3. And I just fear you said earlier that you're choosing to trust that Dan Fogelman and team know what they're doing and that they're going to lead us to, the glory of just a mind-blowing, satisfying conclusion to this series. But I watched another show that had 3 seasons planned and blew everyone away, right? With its first season, left everyone with a few more questions in its second, and then bombed spectacularly in its third. So I am concerned. I'm talking about Ted Lasso. And
uh I was like, "Where
uh,
you're being a real paradise here. What's the show?" All you have to do is name the never talk about never name the show. Don't name the show for the next 30 minutes of the pod. Bring it up every 5, right? Don't tell us what it is. And then tell us at the very end, and then maybe next podcast episode we'll talk about what happened with Ted Lasso. No, yeah, I totally feel you. I really want
it's
to
a
know
struggle.
what you I mean, what am I gonna do? Not watch the final season? Like, it's not that much to buy into. But I do feel like all these side quests and things that they set up, also very good ideas. I feel like they're all individually great ideas and things I would have loved to see, but they didn't show me any of them. They showed me like a sneak preview of what they all could be or look like, and nobody got their due. That's my thing. And everybody got shafted. Everybody. And Xavier, like, everybody got shafted this season because they were trying to make room for all these different threads. And it makes sense that there's a lot of threads happening and Paradise is falling apart in different ways. But you have 8 episodes and 2 of them you're not in Paradise. 2 of them you are somewhere else. So you have 6 episodes to deal with Paradise, to manage what's happening down there. And that is famously not enough time. 6 episodes, famously not enough time. That's why shows started moving to 8 to 10 episodes. Because there was a while where the 6-episode limited series was like the thing.
But
And
you have to be
yeah,
telling a very intimate story. I'm trying to think. I watched Nine Perfect Strangers. I think that one had 8 episodes, though, maybe even 9. And it might have
would
been
make
like,
sense.
yeah. But I remember thinking it might have been even one episode too long, however many episodes it was.
It had 8. It had 8
There was
episodes
one
in
that
the
had
first
a
season.
fillery or yeah, I can't imagine that being like 6, even though that one, it juggled many characters and dove into each of their stories, but still, it was still like an enclosed space. It was intimate. It made the use of flashbacks, but it just didn't attempt nearly as much as Paradise Season 2 attempted. That being said, there are implications, while I'm just like using my own imagination and hoping for the best with season 3, there are things about the way season 2 ended that suggest interesting conflicts. One of them is that, I mean, I'm pretty sure, right, that even though Link right now is distracted by his beautiful daughter, who he's named Annie, so I'm going to name her Annie Jr. I think juniors are not just for boys.
And
Um,
I've always felt that way, and so I was very glad when he was like, "She looks like an Annie." I was like, "Yeah, yeah." We don't do that enough as a society. Like,
yeah,
literally, why not?
some people do. I have a friend who like it's like a variation of her mother's name and then her mother's name. It's like so everybody just kind of has like a different like nickname or goes by a different form of the same name.
Mhm.
But like
Yelnats.
birth certificate wise, it's the same name, same first name, and that they're all women. So yeah, it happens. Anyhow, he's distracted by Annie Jr. right now, but it's not going to be that way forever. I think his major mission is still to destroy Alex. He probably has an understanding that was developed with his mentor that other people are not clued into. And if not, then he's just doing it because he knew that his mentor wanted to shut it down and is honoring that because of the way he had to find out that his mentor was no longer around. Billy Pace in a flashback was ordered by Sinatra to kill him in order for her to get her hands on the property that would allow her to set all of this plan in motion. Because the point of Alex, I don't know if that even came up, is to reverse with time the events, the cataclysmic events that brought about the end of the world.
Yes.
And in so doing, also bring back her son, who she lost, and the grief has been driving almost every decision that she's ever made since. And Link, it turns out, is in fact Dylan Redmond, perhaps from another timeline. That's yet to be found out. And I
Right.
actually could relate to Link when for the millionth time his nose was bleeding, and then also Xavier's nose was bleeding, and he's like, "What is happening?" And like if you have the captions on, like I always do, that last "What's going on" has a question mark and an exclamation point. Link is fed up, and I'm like, so am I.
Yeah.
So I understand that like even Link doesn't necessarily have a full scope and understanding of what they're dealing with here. It's just pretty crazy to me that the visions that Link and Xavier were having all season long of each other independently don't even amount to anything that happened in the second season. So it's still ahead of us. And Link's sole mission was to destroy Alex, but it looks like they're going to be walking together toward Alex maybe in this second bunker under the Denver airport. I don't know. But I don't know. They might be in conflict. There might be a point where they come together and decide they're going to destroy it, but I couldn't say for sure. But then you have all these people who, aside from briefly bearing witness to the end of the world, got to experience just another version of the world while living in the bunker. And they're going to have to acclimate to a rough, non electrical world outside of the bunker. 25,000 people, roughly, who are all going to have to get used to roughing it alongside the people who've had to do it and do worse for 3 years. That's going to be an interesting social experiment that they might spend too much time on in
Let
season
me
3.
say let me say this, and a couple other things. When I saw that Redmond's husband was, like, wearing, like, a dress shirt and tight-fitting jeans, I was like, "Oh, man. The next few weeks are gonna be rough for you, buddy."
No
Like,
wife, tight fitting jeans.
rough for you. I would be one of the drivers that Tarabi's throwing this stuff out of the backseat of because my when the alarm went off, my first thought was like, "Alright, time to pack." I was like, "I gotta grab it." She's like, "This stuff doesn't matter." I'm like, "Bitch, we're evacuating the bunker." Eh, I most of society most of society didn't even know living outside was a real life
Possibility.
possibility. Like, they
Yeah.
think that outside is a wasteland, and now you're telling us, "Get out." all of a sudden, not a drill, because we've never drilled this.
I know.
So it's
That's
like,
true. We're living
so
with all of the key players for so long that we forget that, like, I mean, when the alarm went off, right, some people were, like, coming out of church, like, coming down from the gazebo, stepping out of the
right.
movie theater, like, "What's going
And they're
on?"
like right, and it's like, "We're leaving." It's like, "We can do that? We can that's a thing? That's an
A
option?" Like
monument to the 4 people who supposedly never came. I mean, they didn't come back, but think supposedly because outside was inhospitable, and that was,
right.
not true.
It's like, what do we wear? That was my thing. I'm like, "What?" I'm like, I'm at least bringing a jacket. I'm like, what
Okay,
is it like
but
out there?"
I think if Tarabi had not seen, like, the freaking light fixture and, like, bronzed statue in the back
I know.
seat, she might
That's
not
crazy.
have been so, like, angry and pulled everything out, 'cause she was also pulling out suitcases, and I'm like, "Maybe the
Right,
suitcases can stay, but I
right.
understand you're in a rage
That's
because
just gotta
what are you
stay.
doing bringing a light fixture? If you
Yeah,
don't
they
know
think
if the outside is hospitable, what's a light fixture gonna do? Where are you gonna plug it into?
that
The
was
stand?"
pretty it was there's no power out there. It was pretty crazy. But I was also like, "Damn," like, all that work, years and years of development and production, billions of dollars, and Paradise lasted 3 years.
3
That's not
years.
a
Like, it
long
went
time.
online for the people for 3 years.
Yeah,
That's Imagine
very
a three-year-old in your life. That's how many years.
right. I would be so
That's
sad. I
just
mean, I
not
know
a lot of
Redmond was, like,
years.
self-sacrificing and all that, but I was like, "Damn, that's" I mean, maybe because her end goal Redmond always had a plan to undo all of this, so maybe she wouldn't mind that it only lasted 3 years because it bought time to undo all of it, and it just bought her more time. And
Mhm.
time. Let's talk about time because I don't understand how she was so confused when Dylan's mentor was like, "Oh, there's time anomalies. Alex is doing things before we even ask now. Solving the computer's solving
Equation.
a question, yeah, an equation that a supercomputer would take the length of the universe to solve, and Alex solved it in 10 seconds, and we didn't even ask the question yet. I thought that was all very well delivered. I appreciated the delivery, the writing.
Well, one thing that actor's gonna do is give you creeps. It's good.
I liked it all. And then she was like, "Oh, like, she's acting like it's poppycock and, like" but it's totally in alignment with her mission. She needs time anomalies. I suppose upon reflection, she wasn't like outright, "No, what you're saying isn't possible." What she was really saying was, "That's not" she was like, "Keep going. Keep going. Don't stop." But it was also giving, like, confusion and
Mhm.
how so? Part of me, I'm wondering if I just am not the receiver of Julianne Nicholson's acting. I'm not the right one because a lot of times in the finale, especially, I just did not know what she was feeling or like what she was trying to convey to the point where she's like making good with Dr. Tarabi at the end. And I'm thinking she's going to like stab her in the side or something like at the end of the conversation. So I was like, oh, what's going on? I'm just tense the whole time. So yeah, I have confusion about like what it is she sees as her end goal there, especially when she then goes to Xavier and is like, "I think you've already done it." At the end, he's like, "What makes you think I'll do any of these things you're telling me to do to save the world?" And she's like, "I think you've already done it." And I'm like, "Well, what does that mean?" And not in a good way, like, "Ooh, what does that mean?" I'm like, "No, what does that mean? What does that mean to you?" Because, like, what is the expectation? Is the expectation that we are creating another timeline? Are the timelines gonna cross over, and that's why we have Dylan here? Or, like, are we going to a new timeline? Are we having multiple timelines intersecting? What do you expect to happen? What does Sinatra expect to happen? What are the writers going to make happen? And how are those 2 things going to coexist. And I don't mean coexist like happen at the exact same time. I mean coexist as far as manifest in a way that one would lead to another. It's all very confusing. That part I doubt will be elegant. I'm not gonna lie to you. I am doubting that. But I think it will happen, and we will talk about it again next year.
Before we wrap, I just want to share a thought about just what it was like to see Sinatra kind of accept her fate. And I think confidently, because she believed that everything was to work out the way that she planned and that
Mm.
she would perhaps be back, not embodying the same person, but that everything would be fine. And she has this vision of little Dylan. She stands in front of the rocking horse outside of the grocery store that she brought down with him, which is kind of the last moment of joy he was having before he fell ill and eventually died. And she, walks off into the destruction. And it reminded me of a gothic horror film that I watched in college for a class, and it's called The Orphanage. And it is, was it directed by Alfonso Cuarón? It might have been. No, J.A. Bayona, my bad. And I will not spoil it for you, but the same kind of like mother's grief leads you to do insane things and causes visions and a crazy ending there's parallels there. And so if you haven't seen The Orphanage and want to not be able to sleep for about 5 weeks, go for it, because you'll see the parallels between the final episode and that film.
Sign me up. Well, that is our Whatcha Watchin episode of Paradise. We're still with you, Sterling, Dan. All right, we're with you on this ride, and we're gonna stand beside you. All right, and we can't wait to see what you have planned, how you wrap things up in season 3, which, if all goes according to plan, should be launching around this time next year on Hulu. So looking forward to that. I guess, though, will Hulu exist? No, it won't. So where will it be airing? Disney Plus? We'll find out. They'll let us know. But in the meantime, our podcast, you can find us on YouTube Podcasts and Apple Podcasts at TV Trauma Truth Pod, as well as on Instagram, Spill, TikTok, and Threads. You can also reach out to us via email at tvtraumatruthpod@gmail.com. Always lovely to hear from folks. Go ahead and keep commenting, writing in. We love to hear from you.
We'll talk to you next time. And until then, stop bringing up Alex.